What's up, Gloucester Township? I'm Joe Allen, here with Keith Gibbons.
Howdy, folks.
Hopefully, this video isn't awful. This is our first time with a lot of new equipment.
Yeah, we changed quite a few things. Usually you want to change like one thing, try it out. We're like, no, just rip the entire thing apart.
Rip it all out.
Start over.
Sat down Friday to record. Gave up after a couple of, 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then just, let's just go out to eat and go. We'll go buy some new equipment and go out to eat. So, here we are. If the video is worse than it normally is, because it's normally pretty bad, you'll probably never see us again, because I'll burn it all right after this. So,
yeah.
Hopefully we've got really clear video now on your TV screens.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's the hope. If not, it's not the equipment, it's me. So, for sure.
And this will probably be our last episode before Christmas. So, it's very festive here. We got Clark Griswold in the house. You got Christmas trees, lights. Was there something else that we did too, or no?
No, I couldn't figure out when you got here. I didn't get the Griswold thing when you got here. And I'm like,
oh yeah, it says Griswold.
Right? Oh, it says Griswold. Okay, all right. I'm like, why is he showing up in a Chicago jersey? This isn't where you do this. You're gonna
like sports.
People are gonna hate us now. It's the Flyers. Okay.
Oh, it's Clark Griswold.
All right. Now that all makes sense. Now I feel like I should have dressed up. I'm wearing the normal Keith uniform of just a black shirt.
Yeah, you have my uniform on today. Anyway. All right, so yeah, this council meeting that we're recapping from, what was that, December 9th? This was one for the record books, folks.
I think I just had a theory.
What?
The drones above us are spraying crazy juice on us.
Here we go. The drones.
That's what it is. It's the drones are spraying us with crazy, and that's what happened with this whole council meeting. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's a bad word show. It was a bad word show.
It was
bad word show.
It was this was something that if this was your first council meeting in person, you'd probably think,
I'm going to call realtor in the morning.
Or I found a new hobby. Now I know what I'm going to do every other Monday night. This is going to be it.
Yeah. Oh my! It was. Yeah.
It was.
Well, it started off with something that we are not unfamiliar with. It's where the agenda that's supposed to be put out per law to the residents was incorrect again. It actually was put out, but it was missing 3 ordinances. There was a bunch of resolutions, but there were 3 ordinances missing. They were, if you went onto the township's website and clicked on the link, they were in the supporting documents for it, but it wasn't listed on the agenda. So it was brought up to council about that, by a couple of different people here. Do you want to get right into that or talk further on that? I guess I
didn't know what was missing because I didn't catch the agenda initially when it came out and then compare it to anything else. So I didn't know about that. So if you know what was missing.
Well, yeah, so the supporting documents are typically not published. So the township's vestibule, I guess outside the main entrance there's glass. So they'll put the ordinances up there so the public can come and see it, because they would post them inside the building and be like, yeah, we posted them in here. And we're like, well, we don't have access to the building. Remember that gas shortage in the 70s? That makes you not be there Friday.
Right.
So then we can't get in there until Monday when you need to let us. So they started putting them on the glass outside, but they put just the agenda. And the agenda is what was missing, the ordinances, not the backup stuff. None of that was put up. So I made it a habit now when the agenda comes out to go up to the township building, record, make sure it's all there. So the proof is there. And we have the proof that there was nothing, no supporting documents there, but they pushed through anyway with adding the ordinances on. They can do that, but in a case of it's an emergency, we need to get this on there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it looks really bad for a transparency standpoint. And we always, as we all know, there's an entire podcast dedicated to the lack of transparency in Gloucester Township. But yeah, we have to put this on there.
Yeah, it's not like they were like, everybody trusts us. They got it.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. 22,000 people didn't trust you with getting rid of their sewer. So
let's play the first one here.
Good evening.
Look at this, folks. You can see us too in the clip.
The statement that you had read to open up the meeting, how the residents have adequate public notice for this meeting, it's kind of not true, being that the agenda was updated today on 12/9. The full agenda that was posted on 12/5 didn't have everything that today's agenda has.
So I had noticed this morning, Mr. Mignona brought it to my attention. I approved the agendas on Thursday afternoon, and they're posted. The ordinance was in the background information. It was put on the website that evening. It was brought to my attention that it was not listed on the front page of the agenda. So I contacted the clerk's office, and they posted that on there. Ms. Bosford, the background stuff was that was on the full posting on the website back from Thursday evening, correct?
Yes, so the three ordinances were posted, they just weren't on the first agenda page.
So all that information was there, it was not listed. We amended it and put it on the front, but the background information was there. So if someone goes to the 23 pages, they could see that.
But typically, it's always at the front of the page, correct?
Correct. So there, it was not listed there, but the ordinance was listed in what was posted.
Okay. As you said, you look through the agenda on Thursdays, correct? What safeguards, because this is not the first time that like a hiccup has happened. So what safeguards were in place from the previous time to ensure that we're not waiting until Monday to address it?
So what the clerk has done, Ms. Parrish, she has, when it's been posted, she's taken screenshots and it's posted there underneath when it has made it to this website, because she sends that to updates that evening, Thursday afternoon, and then she'll put the day that it's posted underneath it. So that's one of the safeguards that we put in place. All of council, they review it. It was brought to my attention, and we had it updated.
Okay, so on Thursday when it gets posted, does anybody like look at it and make sure that everything is in order how it's supposed to be, how we're kind of like trained that it should be?
The clerk.
Okay, so then therefore the clerk failed at doing what they were supposed to be doing.
He just said he's the one that signs off on it.
Yes, it was an oversight on her
I
part.
proofread it.
But how many
So did the
oversights
clerk.
need to happen? I mean, for the
But the ordinance was there. The ordinance was listed there. So people have an opportunity to review that. You just don't look at the first page or two. There's background information. So that that part was there. I'm open to suggestions of any safeguards you want to suggest to council.
No, Smithman was not aware of it because it wasn't on the agenda, which is what was not posted on the thing. And anyone else in town that doesn't have access to the internet.
I get the argument that this.
Yeah, I get both sides, but there's
people make mistakes. I make some.
I make them every day.
But I'm thinking like every week there's something at work that I'm like, if I'm doing documentation or something like that, I'll forget an entire section or something like that. You get busy. People make mistakes. But putting the blame on the clerk, it's the clerk. The clerk is allowed to make mistakes. The problem is you've got a lot of other people that are going back and over and completely missing that too. So the fact that everybody's making the same mistake, but then to their point where they're saying, well, the rest of the supporting documents in there, right? But the agenda
is what
tells you. That's
Yeah.
what people like. If you look through the agenda and think, I don't have everything on here just makes sense. Fine, do it. You don't ever look to the supporting documents. Like, you're not looking through the supporting documents.
And that was brought up, by
like
other people.
That's the table of contents, basically.
You look at it and say, all right, there's nothing that I question on the agenda that's going to happen. I'm not going to bother looking through the rest of it. It's like, a book was missing, the one topic that you were trying to look up, doing research. And then you're like, well, no, it was in there. All the information, it was in there, so you should have seen it. Well, I know I didn't read this book because I looked at the table of contents, and there's nothing in there on the topic that I wanted to do, so why would I read this book?
Yeah. So I don't agree with putting the blame on the clerk. There's a lot of people involved there that somebody could have pulled that out. But
let's see here. There was another.
Speaking of somebody that didn't have an agenda or even know what was happening, she had a mission though.
Oh, she was on a mission.
She was on a mission. Look, Doesn't
anyone
even
else?
like she's not even like I'm not even waiting for you to call on me. I'm on my way. I don't even have an agenda to speak on what's going to happen here, but I'm going to figure it out right here. I'm going to pull this number out and just ask a question right here. That's pretty much that's going to set the tone for later on in the evening.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hang tight. Hang tight.
I'm going to try that next time. I'm going to wait in the parking lot, right? I'm going to wait till after whatever ceremony that they're doing, and then the Pledge of Allegiance, right? And just gonna come in like as soon as I hear a public portion, I'll be at the metal detector. I'm like, guys, it's me. Just walk in.
That's me.
Hey, coming in. I got some questions.
Coming in on.
Where the hell's the lectern?
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Ray Polidoro gets up there, and he's
Good
asking.
evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the historic village of Ariel.
Good evening.
I'm not going to get into the details of how the agenda that's usually printed out has the ordinances first and how this came about. It seems to happen on evenings when we have some important or hot button issue that a glitch happens.
I disagree.
Well, you can disagree, but
Surprise.
we, the people, know that when we look for it, whether it doesn't appear, and have ordinances that would normally be in the agenda, be off the agenda and in the description area, it's just, it's getting tiresome to do that. If I may address ordinance 2424, and again, talk about a hot button item. So the chronological order of things that are going on when you guys dissolved the MUA, you first said that you can do it better, you can save money. Coincidentally, you never, ever answered the question. And you never did save money. And you have just proven that today, where you're not saving money by dissolving the MUA. That being, the MUA ran a very efficient budget. I had asked Mr. Cardis, maybe he could seek some advice from them because our budget's terrible every other year. And they managed to keep a $6 million emergency fund. And that fund was for specifically to take care of the sewage issues. Now, you have you have procured the funds that were there and squashed just about half of it, never having spent any money on sewer repairs because you've already borrowed $300,000 to fix the sewer. Now you want to borrow another $600,000. You're still sitting on $2.8 million, if I'm not mistaken, of money that was specifically designed to take care of these things, to take care of the sewer, and you're borrowing again. You're sitting there with a wad of cash leaking out of your pocket, or at least the administration is right now, a wad of cash hanging out of your pocket, and you're going to swipe our credit card again.
That comment's going to
There's already money there.
Yep.
There's no reason to borrow more money to fix the sewer.
Yeah.
Yep, we're gonna hold on to that money.
You know, you're constantly proving why you should put the MUA back together again. You did this to save money. You didn't do it. Then you said you weren't going to sell it. That was a little disingenuous also. You said you're going to put it out for bid to find out what it's worth. That's called an appraisal. Well, that didn't go so well.
allowed to know.
Remington and Vernon graded our sewer pretty good. That's why maybe New Jersey American Water thought that that was worth $143 million. Yet, every time you talk about tax increases, borrowing, or anything to do with spending, this body votes unanimously. The administration hands it to you and you just say, okay. Don't borrow more money when you have the money sitting that you took from, again, I'm sorry, that you procured from the MUA that was for that purpose. I'll come back if there's time. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Polidoro. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
That
So, yeah,
procured thing and that he had to have that like prepared because he did it 2 times. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say you took it, and then I'm gonna correct myself. I'm sorry, procured.
Yeah, that's so. The thing is, we need so on the agenda is to borrow. I think $600,000.
I don't recall what the amount was. I think it was like 5 or 600,000.
It's a big amount. So basically, what he's saying is, well, we're gonna borrow money to do some sewer repairs when a year ago we had $6 million sitting in a fund for sewer repairs.
Yeah, I don't know though that I don't know how I don't know if I agree with the questioning of all the the MUA bills for the simple fact of that none of us paid attention to what happened at the MUA in the past. So these could be, in theory, somewhat common things like, oh, we need to repair this here. And if you read the reports from Remington and Vernick, it's basically like they would do these repairs and it would be in the current year's budget. And later on in the clips, and I'm not defending them by any stretch of the imagination here, but they claim that surplus was not being used for things like this. So we don't know that the MUA would also have borrowed versus spent it, and we don't know if they're frivolous. You know what I mean? Repairs. You know what I mean? It's something that's necessary to do. It would never have been questioned by any people that go to the council meeting to ask questions because it wasn't a topic that came up at council meetings. So people aren't as, I guess, familiar with that topic to be questioning it. Just to see that they're borrowing doesn't necessarily mean that the MUA wouldn't have borrowed also.
Yeah,
and it doesn't mean
they'll
that
later
it's
make
not
that
something
point too, that the MUA would have definitely borrowed for this.
Right.
All right. Well, the MUA wasn't in so much debt that they had to increase taxes every year because they kept adding to that debt, and we had to start paying that. We had to pay that debt off every year. So
yeah, we
never paid attention to the MUA because it's $15 a month, and it's been like that for a really long time.
Right.
I mean, it has gone up, but it's been managed pretty well. So yeah, and the fact that there's going to be
I don't know that it's managed very well. I think they just didn't increase our rates. And the reason I'm injecting that point is because we don't know what it was ran like. You can still have an operation that out of sheer luck, you know what I mean? You have enough money to cover.
I'm putting a couple things together on that one. So I'm putting together the fact that the rates are good, and then we have engineering studies that say that it's maintained well. So
right. I'm not saying it was run poorly. I'm saying you can't say that it was run.
I mean, you could run it really, really cheap, but then somebody can come in and look at a study and go,
"Yeah,
this whole place has to go."
Oh yeah. Oh no, I understand that.
So,
but the reason that I'm saying that is because later on, which I'll get into, that there was part of the MUA at that time was the solid waste portion, and they had the last time they looked at what their fees were was 2005. So in 20 years, almost 20 years.
Oh, right.
They didn't increase rates. So I think anybody should be at fault for not adjusting any of those things or looking at those things. But I brought it up as a point of, hey, you said you're going to save us money. I guess at this point here, we might as well play that clip because we're kind of into that conversation.
Yeah, might as well.
All right. So what was it? 20, I think, here.
Here with GT Observer. Today's video, I am out here at the Ecological Center. This was part of the MUA before it was dissolved. It was dissolved in May of 2023. So as I'm standing here today, that was 1 year and 7 months ago. The reason that the MUA was dissolved, we were told, was to save us money. So now the solid waste part is what the Ecological Center is, which is basically a dumping of leaf and lawn clippings, which then turn into mulch, and then that is sold. So yeah, tipping fees and selling of the mulch and dirt is basically the two ways that we make revenue. So I know we were trying to sell the sewer in the meantime, but one would think that within a year and 7 months, the fees maybe that we would be charging could be looked at, maybe adjusted. So I did some looking into it, and 2005 was the last time that fees were ever adjusted. So just for point of reference here, a gallon of diesel in 2005 was $1.45. Now a gallon of diesel is $3.80. So that's just one of the costs that we have that go into it. There are other places like this around the area, like the County Conservatory over in Washington Township. And if we were to bring our prices up closer to what they were, we would be able to have a 93% increase in our fees when we're doing $2.2 million in revenue of compost, dumping of leaves and grass and all that. Applying a 93% increase to our prices, we would be generating $4.3 million in revenue. And this isn't to taxpayers here. This is to other towns. Other towns are paying to come and dump their leaves over here. But we talk about rising costs, but we're not adjusting the prices that we're getting for the fees, where other people could be helping, take some of the burden off of our taxpayers here. That's kind of, scary to think that after a year and a half, the prices have not been adjusted. I know the township was kind of talking trash about the MUA at the last council meeting, kind of saying how they didn't do things very well. Well, you had a year and a half and the prices still aren't adjusted. Basically, you had 2 leaf seasons for tipping fees that we completely missed out on, but you were going to save us money. Hey guys, Keith Gibbons here with GT.
But yeah, so that was
that's almost like it's like 4 more pickleball courts a year we could get.
Right.
Just by raising that money, right? Extra $2 million. That would be man, that's a
yeah. It's a good. I mean, when they talk about, and part of why I started going down that road was, and you'll see, guys, people are asking more questions around this, but we ask questions and we don't get answers to it, and sometimes I feel like the way, and I'm not knocking anybody for asking questions the way that they do, but I feel like maybe sometimes the questions that are asked are the wrong questions to ask. Like if you were to ask, how else could you, they were saying, what did you do to save money? And then they're like, well, we got rid of this, that, or the other thing. And those are things that they've done, but they don't, say anything else on there. But if you're actually to be able to go and suggest things that they could have done, and did you do this? Did you not do that? You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty big one to say, like, hey, you haven't looked at the rates, that like the way that we make income to help pay for all of the expenses and all the things that we have going on here to make this thing run. You haven't looked at that since 2005? Do you really care about saving us money, or did you just think you're going to get $143 million and make life easy, and I don't have to think about anything? I don't have to do my job. I don't have to actually do this. And it's kind of disheartening to see that there's proof right there. It's not just the question that we're asking, but going and showing them, like, hey, look, this is
that 93% increase. Okay, increase it by 50%. Still be super competitive so that nobody leaves our services.
Well, yeah.
Right, we're still cheaper. We'd still be cheaper than everywhere else they could go.
And that was my point to somebody when they're like, well, what if other towns don't start dumping them? Like, we could lose literally half of the people that are or half of the towns that come here, and we would still be in the exact same spot. So how is that? Should I explain how that's bad again?
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe we pick up others. And from what I did some research in there, private companies aren't allowed to go drop there. But I mean, you see in the video, there are private companies dropping there, but there's maybe there's opportunity to have more people dropping stuff. I don't really understand the whole that's a whole time. I can get into that for a while, but we have more clips to get back on track here.
It's a continuation of Ray.
So let's go into Ray.
I want to remind this council, when you vote on that ordinance to swipe our credit card for another $600,000, when you're sitting on $2.8 million of money that was meant to fix our sewer system, and you're borrowing when the money's leaking out of Mr. Cardis's and the mayor's pockets. Okay? The money's there. You're borrowing, and we pay for it. We pay for it. You pay for it too. But this is getting crazy because the people spoke. They want I don't know why you don't just put the MUA back. You've proven that you dropped the ball, and it costs money, and it's going to cost money. You threatened to raise taxes. You dropped the ball. You destroyed something that was good. I have to ask you, this is one you should vote no on. This is one you should vote no on. Don't take the money that you got and swipe our credit card. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We'll close the first public portion.
Agree.
Yeah.
We realized the position we were in when we decided to sell the sewer to clean things up, and we're just going further down. We're just going further down a path there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see how a few of us could have predicted the entire thing from the first time that we saw the MUA was being dissolved, to say this is what they're going to try and do. They're not going to try, you know what I mean? And then to be where we are today.
And if you think about what would happen too if they would have sold the MUA, the borrowing and then the spending practices, that would have never stopped.
No,
they weren't just going to get better.
But because it didn't play out how they wanted it to play out for their,
it's a tough spot now.
Now they're in a tough spot. Yeah, they're building up anger towards being. It's not getting their way. Like, you ever get that, like that little kid that just doesn't get his way, and then it's just like lashes out. That's what I feel like is coming here.
There's a lot of spiteful things, I think, and there's anger from people in council that we saw in this meeting people that I thought were in comas before. So there's a lot of people that are angry now.
Yeah. We're back onto the
back to the agenda. Denise just has things.
Choose landing.
Good evening.
Good evening. I believe the Open Public Meetings Act requires you to list the ordinances on the agenda. They were not listed on the agenda.
Right, that's what we're saying.
They should have been listed on the agenda 48 hours in advance for proper public notice. They were not. So it's not reasonable to expect that the public was aware of these ordinances. If they weren't listed on the agenda, somebody that goes to the website looks at the agenda, glances through it, okay. How would they know that those ordinances were in supporting documentation?
Because they go down,
That's
when
what
they
we were
click
saying.
on it, it goes down.
No,
There's
they would have
background. There's
to
background
read.
information. Yes, absolutely.
Background information on something that they don't know is in there.
Go down there. There was
Okay,
an
most people-
Ms. Corn, I'm speaking. There was an oversight. There was an
Okay.
oversight, and we tried to correct it. There's nothing salacious. There was no conspiracy behind it. There's a second reading that takes place where people have ample time to speak on that second hearing, and you're speaking on that now. We
Okay.
apologize that there was an oversight.
And there's
But
no
also
emergency to put it
Open
on there.
Public Meetings Act that
Yeah, you can just
requires
not
it
do
to
it.
be noticed on the agenda.
And background information was
48
provided.
hours in advance, it was not.
Mr.
And
Carlamere?
if it isn't, it should be posted yellow on the board to notify people. that
No, it's not
ordinance-
posted yellow. It's posted yellow if it's a walk-on. It's not a walk-on.
Okay, but
It's
Background
not. It
information
wasn't
if
on
it's
the
not
agenda.
posted 48 hours in advance, isn't that considered a walk-on? It wasn't on the agenda.
It was on the agenda, the background information. It was not on the front page. It was an oversight. Mr. Carlamere, you're a legal counsel. Can you provide us some legal advice on this?
First, I'm hearing of that, but the comments that are made from the dais as well as the floor are telling me that the ordinance was actually contained in the body of what was, besides being posted, was on the site for everyone to look at, and I think that's proper. I don't think it's improper, and I think council, for introduction at first reading, which is not a public hearing, just the first reading is appropriate, regardless of what your comments are.
What do you mean by besides being posted? Posted where?
The procedure that the clerk's office followed is appropriate from what I'm hearing. This is the first I'm hearing of it. But because it was included in the content of everything that was available for the public to read prior to the meeting is appropriate.
Even though it was not on the agenda, per the Open Public Meetings Act,
But the contents were there.
but it was not on the agenda.
Right. It was there, and this is only first reading. This is
Okay.
not a public hearing on first reading.
I understand
Those
that.
comments that I've heard so far should be addressed at the public hearing.
Is that defined in the Open Public Meetings Act, that it only has to be the second hearing that needs to be noticed 48 hours in advance?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so it should have been on the agenda, correct?
Thank you, Ms. Corn, for your time.
Wow.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
I don't actually know what he doesn't know what was happening
That was the
prior
first
to
he
this
heard of it.
meeting, and then gave an explanation that I'm not even sure he knew what the explanation was.
Right. Well, he said, he goes, "This is the first I'm hearing of it." And from what I heard from the dais in there, so he heard exactly what you heard, but he gave his legal opinion on it and said it's 100% correct.
I think this guy could go home, and his entire house would be just removed from the land, and he would just sleep on the dirt and go. And they go, "What happened to your house?" I go, "I didn't even know that I didn't have a house anymore.
There's no
Wait, what? I had no idea."
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, so this agenda thing has another. What is this here now? Let's see here. Let's play this one. I don't even know what this is.
Thank you once again, Ray Polidoro from Ariel. Mr. Carlamere, your response to Ms. Coyne was you don't think. Can you make that factual?
Well, my comment is understanding, this is the first I've heard that this was not.
Look closer to the microphone, please.
This is the first I've heard that this was not included in the beginning of what on the, I guess what you described as the agenda. But what I'm hearing though is that the ordinance is properly available to the public for review. So that's what's important. What also goes to the merits here, that this is the first reading of an ordinance. It's not a public hearing. Comments such as you've made earlier are really addressed at a public hearing level. You can comment that it's there and what's it about, but the actual detailed public hearing is at the second reading. So I think everything is appropriate. For
so if I may dialogue with you.
Introduction on first reading.
So what my understanding of the agenda is these 2 pages. This is the agenda. Definitions and a breakdown of all things that appear on the agenda are those supplemental pages. This being the agenda, and if you would agree that this is the agenda, normally you'll put the ordinance in there, you put the resolutions in there, and then pages down, you'll put the explanation and or details of that. The fact, and
like
these
see the
folks
table,
are correct,
right? Let's see where
I believe I am as well. This is the
right
agenda,
there.
and it did not appear on the agenda.
That's the agenda sitting on the table.
That?
The 2 pages that he has. That's.
I'm asking yes or
there.
no. If this is the agenda,
it does not make it efficient. If you're saying all you have to tell the public is what the agenda says and not the material, then you're not correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so all in all, it did not appear on the agenda. It appeared on the supplemental information content. All right, so with it being the second reading later on, you know, this council and this council president is very strict on time. And you get 3 minutes, you get 5 minutes, or you get unlimited time. When you're the public and you can get a second bite at the apple, you take every opportunity. That's what a public meeting is for.
So yeah, I mean it's tiresome. This whole they do whatever they want. Who holds them accountable? The only people that are going to hold them accountable is the ballot box. That's where we have to go to make any kind of change, because this stuff is just going to continue to go on and on and on. And they do whatever they want, right?
And let's get them some microphones.
Yeah,
that drives me insane every time that I have to. And I posted a picture of it earlier in the week when I was doing editing the clips, where you've got this little tiny sound wave of basically anybody up there other than Mercado talking. And then there's the people on the mic.
Yeah.
Right? And it's crazy that it's not that the microphones are bad. It's that they're not pointed.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't have the volume up on them.
And they're sitting back away from them because it's too hard to understand how a microphone works. Didn't the clerk a couple months ago
adjusted everybody's?
Yeah, so
and somehow it's
for one meeting we were like, crap, this works.
Right.
Thank you, clerk. And then all of a sudden now they're back down again, except for Mercado's.
And his gain is so far up, you can hear his heart beating. It's like,
which ours might actually be.
Right, you might hear
we don't
my
know
heart
it yet
beating.
because we haven't reviewed the video. We've only done a couple tests. So,
but anyway, so yeah, it's tiresome. There was also on the agenda. There was a bond ordinance passed for a park grant, which we're actually getting 100% of the grant, but we needed to have
you have to set up the loan, basically, I guess.
Yeah, it was
a requirement to set up.
We had to have an ordinance passed that you could, or you would be able to go get a. It was $980,000 for a park improvement, but we're not actually borrowing that.
Yeah, we just have to. I guess we have to set the bond up first, and then we'll get a grant that'll cover it.
Yeah.
So that was taken care of.
In our E-Gov section, we had a interesting question. We're not going to play the clip here because it was just a little bit longer, and we're trying to cut down the time here. But the question was around recycling trucks, and they're actually causing more trash than they're picking up. It was it was a windy day. I don't know if anybody recalls, probably it was just 2 weeks ago or so now. One of these days, it was really windy out. And this person saw, I guess, the trash truck opening the lid of the recycling truck.
Yeah.
And things must have been blowing out, and they got really perturbed by this.
So yeah, when the can goes up and it shakes it in there, if it's windy, some of the stuff flies out of the can and
empty
goes somewhere. And they were saying,
paper,
look, the recycling trucks are causing. Now, it was windy this last, mine is picked up. It was just picked up this past Thursday. I had a lot of stuff out there. I had a lot of boxes. I jammed as many boxes. I folded them all, put them in the bin. But then I had boxes outside of the boxes that were just, and I had gone outside 4 times before our truck got here. Because I saw them down the street, and I'm like, I run out there and I'm cleaning them up, and I'm stacking stuff on top of them. Yeah. And then right as I heard the truck come down the street, I looked out the window, and they were like everywhere again. So I ran out there, and I'm like, I don't want these guys. These guys, it's not their job to clean the street up. So I went and grabbed them, and I'm like holding them, and it's just windy as hell. The guy gets out of the truck, and he's like, hey, come on, let's stack this on. But like, he was really, really helpful, and he was really helpful with getting that in there. So I don't know, man. I think that happens. I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have a right to question it. It's their
when you're in the truck, you don't have a great view of what's going on there. I think they might have a camera, but it can happen.
We also have an entire from Public Works, the litter patrol that is paid through.
We do have a car that drives behind him, actually.
So
there is. I guess that's the thing. If we're going to utilize all these different people to pick up recycling, just pay attention. But also, look, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect thing. I'll stick up for those guys, man.
Robert Victor wanted to know about license plate readers and how long the information is held, and then how many cars, I guess, a day it does, and if the information is ever purged.
I guess first off, there might be some people that don't know what license plate readers are. I mean, they're just random. They just grab plate information as cars are going by, or sometimes as they're driving past cars. It's a lot of times it's how they find stolen cars. Stolen cars parked on the side of the road. License plate, it's in the system to know to look for that car.
Right.
So the police are just driving by, and it's just reading plates, right? And
you can go. I'm sure people have seen on TV like parking orders or whatever it's called, where the people in Philadelphia, like the cars drive around. It's just the not repo guy with the parking authority driving around like. A license plate is red and says, "Oh, that guy has 12 tickets. Let's go put a boot on his car." Same thing happened on license plate readers. I guess we have them on cop cars that are driving around, and like it might tick it off and say, "Hey, that license plate is tied to John Doe who has a warrant out for his arrest in Township or something." You know what I mean? So it might be like, "Hey, turn around and go identify that car," whatever the case is. But it helps the police in, I guess, several ways, right? But then it also hits this guy's concern is my privacy. How long are you doing that? What are you doing with that information? How long are you keeping it? And apparently, from what we learned, there are, I guess, statutes and stuff around like regulating how long it's kept. So the answer is that it's kept for 3 years, and the answer was also that they do not sell the information to anyone. I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm kind of mixed on that one too. I thought about that one a little bit, and I thought I really don't like the privacy issue that it brings up of holding basically in some computer system where you've seen my car for the last 3 years. But then I'm also the same guy that's had 2 cars and a motorcycle stolen. That it's not on. Police aren't briefed every day. Hey, we're still looking for Joe's missing car.
Oh yeah.
So if my car is recovered, and sometimes the insurance, sometimes I don't want the insurance to give me back what I got, because maybe I love the car, right? So I want the car found. So there is that piece of it too, where I'm like,
also you're in public, so you have no expectation of privacy in public. Also, right?
I get the guy's concern, but then I also see the need for it too.
All right. So after that, we went into the second public portion where you can talk about anything, and this is where it got interesting.
Yeah, somebody got some of that drone spray and just went.
May I ask, the Christmas donations?
This is 5 minutes long.
So I'm just going to ask, is Gloucester Township, New Jersey accepting donations for Christmas this year?
Yes.
Okay. I had tried to donate 2 gift cards and some cash to the Gloucester Township, New Jersey police watch desk area where there was a drop box, but the box did not announce what the name of the donation drive was called, like what it was referred to, the title of the donation drive. They did accept 2 gift cards last year. I was told this year they do not accept gift cards. Do they?
I am not aware of what they accept. I can't answer that.
It's the mayor's.
No. You said you went to the watch desk of the police department.
It is sponsored by the mayor. The mayor is the one.
No, that you said you went to the police watch desk.
That's
If
correct.
you were going to donate something to the mayor's toy drive, you would go to the mayor's office out here in the
It's
hallway.
the same toy drive. It's for convenience purposes.
It is not the same toy drive.
Well, then you should make the police department aware that it is not the same toy drive because there was a box in that area. So fortunately, they were very educated enough to not take a donation for somebody else's Christmas toy drive. What is it called? Donation box?
Were you able to donate what you wanted to donate?
I was not.
Okay.
That's why I'm
Do you
asking.
still want to donate those items? If you would like to donate them, I'll help facilitate that transaction for
The
you.
gift cards
Yes.
in cash?
The cash, no, we're not going to accept cash. You can use the cash, maybe purchase something.
No, see, I don't drive right now because I don't have a vehicle. I have not for close to 10 years. I cannot get the toy to the box. I would have to walk it. And not only is it,
ShopRite, get toys Dollar General.
you want me to walk 2 miles?
Everybody's giving.
No, it would be in between the Dollar General and ShopRite, in between going home.
Is a gift card acceptable?
Yes.
How are we accepting gift cards? Is that like? How do you know if they're good gift cards?
I think that they were just trying to allow her to help how she can. You know,
Okay.
I don't think it's standard practice. To accept gift cards.
That's fine.
She's got a massive bag there.
Yes, they were. I guess they were in stockings or something. But some were also in bags.
How'd she get?
Thank you very much for your generosity. We're not accepting the cash.
I know,
But now you take the cash out, okay? I'm not taking the cash out. Okay?
It's a smart move.
No, you can open that.
Use the table.
Shaughnessy, why don't you use the table, okay? We're gonna go to our next speaker, okay? Ms. Coyne? Jim, can you help Ms. Smithman and also here, pass. Mr. Nash will help you. He'll be neighborly.
Neighborly Nash.
Okay? Mr. Nash will help you.
That was a.
Yes, Ms. Coyne.
That was a dig at Dave Leader because he always says
Yeah.
The
That's not very neighborly.
$2.6 million that you say is left in the sewer, quote, surplus.
So I.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
She's back.
Mr. Polidoro.
I'm sorry to interrupt. He didn't tell me what, I didn't write down who that drive is for, who the liquidation is called.
Ms. Smith, we'll address that at the end of the meeting, when the meeting's closed.
Oh, no.
No, you're disrupting our meeting. Ms. Smithman, you're interrupting our meeting. Just please take a seat in the front seat. And Ms. Smithman, I'm gonna ask you, please take a seat. No one gave you $800. Ms. Smithman, please take a seat. Ms. Smithman, take a seat. Ms. Smithman, please take a seat. Mr. Polidoro. No, grab his, no, please take a seat as well. No, I have not called you up to the mic.
The name
Ms.
of the toy
Smithman,
drive, my
Ms.
name is
Smithman,
Shaughnessy Smith.
we're not
The name of the toy drive
responding.
is called Mayor's Toy Drive. If you could please have Councilman Nash bring those gift cards down so I can identify that toy drive on those cards.
that's all she wanted to do was just write on
You just had me hand over $800. I just want to write down that it goes to the proper toy donation for Christmas. Could you please have Councilman Nash bring them back so I can write on them where they're going? Officer Reddick said toys for tots, but apparently
No, I did not.
he said.
Go on your camera, by the way. I showed you the sign right in the office. Here's your gift cards. You can hand them at the mayor's office. Have a good evening. We're not taking them back. Take
Ms.
them with you.
Smithman, I'm gonna ask you to leave our meeting here. Please leave our meeting. We're not gonna continue. Ms. Smithman, I'm gonna ask you.
Whoa.
There's a couple different toy drives. She just wanted to make sure that her gift cards went to one particular, the mayor's toy drive, not the police department's toy drive.
Right.
So she wanted to just label it. She doesn't do it in... This is not the place for any of this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not the place for any of this. And it's a tough spot because, like, I'm not a medical professional or anything, but there is...
Well, she stated herself that she...
Yeah, she is under the care of South Jersey Behavioral Health.
Right.
So, look, this gives her something to do, and she is trying to be charitable. Wants to take part in holiday giving.
My whole thing, not the whole thing, but part of my problem is sometimes it takes longer to, like, he needs to roll with an iron fist because I guess mentally, like, he can't deal with someone else being able to have some sort of a power over his room. Like, God forbid somebody else, like, you're out of line here. It takes less time to just let it get done. Like, this isn't the norm. We understand that. It's just let her get the name of the thing, write it on the gift cards, and we're done. No, instead we go into this whole charade. The police are involved. They're getting ticked off. You got the meeting has to be called to a recess. For what?
Well, that's coming up too. Yeah, that's coming up too. But yeah, I think there was some interaction with the police before this that kind of set things off. I guess that they didn't. Like they here's the thing with, and you talk about later about the way the police handled it, but it's also a shitty job, right? Sometimes you just got to deal with difficult people, and you're not ever dealing with people. Not ever, but most of the time, you're not dealing with people on their best day.
Yeah.
So it is. You can get frustrated as a police officer.
Right? A human being.
Yeah.
But also, she's a human being and should be treated with respect as well as a human being.
Yeah.
Let's see here. If we go to clip 10.
You see, they're not identified.
Mr. Melendez, can you escort Ms. Smithman out of our
Let's go.
So you're not accepting.
No, you're not. Just grab your stuff and go. Here's your cards. You can turn them into the mayor's office on your own time. We are not taking them gift cards from you tonight. We identify the toy drive for you. I differentiated between the police department and the mayor for you, and you're being disruptive. Please collect your belongings and follow us out of the building. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. Your stuff. Let's go.
First acknowledge we're not accepting these gifts.
We are not accepting these gift cards. Just go. Your things and let's go.
Lorena, what did you do with the $1,000?
You're insufferable. Have a nice evening.
What did you
Let's
do
go.
with the two $500 gift cards that were donated last year?
You didn't give them to me. I don't know. Grab your stuff and let's go. Interrupting this meeting. Let's go.
There's no way this happened. No part of the community relations that accepted two gift cards from me, and I was told by your police officers that you do not accept gift cards.
We don't. The police
Yes,
department
you
does
said
not.
sometimes
The
it's
police
just
department
that
does not accept cash or gift cards. No, they do not. Here. Grab your things and let's go.
You're accepting them.
Let's go, man.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess.
If Chief Harkins was there, I don't think this would have gone down this like this.
They were not placed in my possession.
Yeah, I think that this just goes on for a little bit. I think that this is kind of just.
Excuse me? You're protected. Because it went from 400 to 800 to 1,000.
We were having laughs. We were talking crap about it now.
Oh yeah, that was Troxel talking crap about her. Yeah, the one that just got elected.
Yeah, she's got nothing to worry about now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I am annoyed by Miss Smithman every meeting. The fact that there's business, and we want to cover the business end of it, and what's good for the residents, and her time up there takes away from some of all the legitimate things that we have to talk about. But I don't know. There's either got to be a way. I was thinking too, like, can you? I don't know if you can trespass somebody from a public building for any particular thing.
Well, she wasn't. Well, I mean, she was disrupting the meeting. I don't know that you can trespass her for it. I don't know.
I don't know.
But at the same time,
I didn't.
My point was, it takes longer to just like the
Well,
whole
yeah,
break
yeah.
and everything. Just give her the name of. She's asking you one question. Answer it. Just give her a name. Put it on the stupid gift card, and be done with it. And she's done. And like you said, I understand like there's frustration levels and whatnot, but the whole thing was just really embarrassing. That's what went down. You know, to be called insufferable was a little much. You know, like, I get the frustration, but
On an amplified mic.
Yeah,
Right in front of a microphone.
hot mic moment there. That was craziness. Look, it was just fireworks went off that night.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. So let's see. What's clip 11 here?
Yeah, it's
so after that's all done.
For those who are in the audience and those that are watching at home, I apologize for that disruption. We have a rule of order and proper decorum in our meetings, and unfortunately, we have an individual sometimes that don't adhere to that.
Individuals.
So I do apologize to those in the audience and those that are watching from home.
Yeah, only he is allowed to insult people. And
Yeah,
it's not anybody else.
I'm the king here. Hold on, you guys aren't allowed to do this. So they were brought up about the rules of decorum, but I guess we'll get to that in a little bit later on. We're just going
back
in the order,
back
the
to
order of business that's happening. It's going to go back to that, guys. So don't worry. There's more to come. Back to the order of business here. We have
Denise Coyne. She was landing.
Sorry.
The $2.6 million dollars.
This actually happened prior. So
in the sewer quote surplus. Is that the money that the local finance board said you had to hold for the bond?
Scars?
It probably would be considered to be, yeah.
Okay, so that's money that you cannot spend according.
I don't know that. I know that to be when they heard it, the case, which was in 23. It's now we're going into 25. I don't know if that was indefinitely the case that,
Okay, but it was money that the local finance board initially said had to be held, correct?
I believe that's what they were referring to.
Okay, so it was a separate pile of money other than the money that was rolled into the budget.
I believe that's what they were referring to.
Okay.
No, it's
and I'd have to call out every time that I have to.
Oh, I know, it's so annoying doing
chop the
those clips.
audio up and raise the volume on every time they talk.
Yep.
So it has to be called out with any kind of dig that I can throw in there. After that, Denise asks about
follow up here. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So not the repairs that we're currently talking about. But there were repairs that Remington and Vernick put out before. This is way before.
When they were just dissolving the MUA, they said, all right, look, the MUA, I know you guys are taking it over, but here's a list of priority items that you got to address in a priority manner,
Millions of dollars worth of things.
Right.
And Denise is asking,
well, I haven't seen these.
All right, you're getting ready to borrow for stuff that's not on that list. What about the stuff that is on that list? What are we going to do?
Right. Again, noting that we're a year and 7 months past the time that this was dissolved.
Yeah. So almost
this wasn't yesterday that this was so they've had a year and 7 months to get to the priority items, yet they still haven't done that. And here we are borrowing for something different.
Why? Because now the people running the MUA have no. What do you got, Gabby?
Yeah. Well, I understand they didn't know the outcome of it. So that's part of the timeline of the sewer side of things.
The management,
solid waste was
the management of sewer. The day that they I forget the gentleman that was managing it. The day that he had been shown the door, and they put Gabby in place. Like that's when management ended on this thing.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, and then for ordinance 2424, the money that is being spent through the general obligation bond. The categories listed on the ordinance are very general and vague. And I know President Mercado just gave some additional detail for those categories. But what I'm wondering is the local finance board, the Remington and Vernick report identified clear priorities for capital improvements to the sewer system. And I don't believe anything that was mentioned was on that priority list. Are you aware if anything on that list is in this $585,000?
No, I'll give you an example. That $300,000 is for a neighborhood community where they have an issue with their septic, and that is to tie that particular community neighborhood into our sewer system.
But was
That was not something that was anticipated in May of 23 or March of 23 when that application was made.
Okay, but I'm asking, is any of that money that you anticipate spending for any of these items that were listed as priorities on the Remington and Vernick report?
I don't have that report in front of me. Mr. Curtis?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, well, it was a replacement of pumps at Fay Ann and Stephen Drive. I don't believe that was mentioned. Installation of an emergency generator at Evesham Pumping Station. I don't believe that was mentioned. Replacement of the Glen Oaks Pump Station. I don't believe that was mentioned. Relocation of the Summerdale Road Pump Station. That wasn't mentioned. Replacement of the Orr Road Force Main. That wasn't mentioned. So I'm wondering if there's a plan to spend any money on the items that were identified as priorities.
He heard
for
spend
spending
money as ears
capital
perked up. He's like,
improvements.
what?
I would have to defer to Mr. Carson, the sewer utility director.
He only spends money.
Yeah, right now, we do not have a plan. No.
Do you plan on having a plan at some point?
At some point, we will.
Do you
No,
plan on
not
having a
big.
plan?
I do not.
Okay, don't you think that's important to have?
To have a plan to spend money or to borrow money, is that what you're asking me?
To have a plan to properly maintain our sewer system per the Remington and Vernick. That's what I'm talking about, to have a plan for priorities.
I'm sure we will be doing capital. Are you aware that the MUA that you raised, that before it was dissolved, that they introduced a budget? And do you know how much money they put in there for capital improvements? Do you have any idea?
How would I know that?
19 million. 19 million is what they were going to put in there. And none of it was coming from that $6 million that you keep referring to. That's in writing. That's their budget that was proposed for 23.
Okay, I didn't refer to any $6 million just now. I'm referring to priorities.
No, it has been referred to.
Okay, but
How much is the balance, 2.6, that you have to keep for capital? And that's not what the plan was. The plan was not to take the 6 million to use for the 19 million of capital improvements that they were going to do.
the 2.6 million was for a bond. That's what it was for.
The 2.6 is surplus.
But it was set aside by the local finance board to pay a bond.
Unanimously.
No, I don't believe that is still in existence.
Okay, but it was set aside by the local finance
They set
board to
aside
pay
$3
a
million.
bond.
They set aside $3 million. They said you can spend up to as much as you want as long as you leave $3 million in surplus.
You hear how he said
I believe
that?
it was
You spend as
2.8,
much as you
like I
want,
said,
as long as you lead up to.
$2.8
That's the same thing as saying this is restricted.
Time you come back up again.
Like, but it sounds better, maybe. You can spend as much as you want to, as long as you.
So he right there admitted the $19 million that the MUA was looking to spend.
Right.
So this was a 2022 thing that I guess when they were forecasting there. This is 2022. Now we're at the end of 2024, and so these repairs aren't. This is just something that Remington Vernick came up with. This is like 2 years we've not done anything on it because we're just like they were so confident in this thing
Yeah, it was
selling.
going to sell. Well, I mean, I guess if it did sell, they didn't want to put money into it, so that does make sense to not do
You could
that.
have asked for more money for it then if you had $19 million. Although $143 million was a crazy amount of money.
Yeah. But It brings up a great point, though, that Denise is doing here, is holding them accountable to what you said, what our reports say that our township paid for, and what the priorities are to keep maintaining our sewer system.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those things that they had, they had basically swore to say, like, we're going to do all the same things that the MUA did. And we all know that the MUA did do a good job of maintaining the system because of what was stated in that Remington and Vernick report. It stated that they did a good job of doing it. It's not our opinion. That's we're repeating the opinion of our professionals that we pay, that they refer to all the time as, So it was just an interesting road, I guess, she's going down with this whole thing, and he automatically doesn't like it. Do you know what? And it's trying to derail it and go, they wanted to take $18 million. You keep saying the $6 million. And he's trying to derail and get off of the topic that she's talking about of, hey, maintain our system. This is what you said you're going to do. I don't care that it's extra work for you or that you don't want to do this all now, because obviously it's obvious to us that...
Yeah, you made this bed. Yeah. And then that started, I guess, getting him a little bit fired up. And then, Ray Polidoro's got away, right?
Oh, yeah. Let's see here.
The more I listen to the conversation, the more redundant this gets. The same questions keep getting asked because no answers are given. All wrong. Everyone wanted to know what savings. Why did you destroy a fully functional, well-working MUA? An MUA that was working with a budget a whole hell of a lot better than this township is working with to be able to put money away. Being that you can't answer the question, and we're going to keep on asking, and the reason to keep on asking is if you can't answer the reason that you stated that you were dissolving the MUA, you give the appearance of a money grab. That's what it looks like. The money grab appears also to look like it was the prelude to selling the MUA, which you also said you weren't going to do. Now, I'm not quite sure what the difference is between someone being disingenuous and lying, but I gotta believe there's a thin line between the two. Not stating that you did either or any of the above, but it sure as hell does look like it. In any event, I'm gonna ask a very simple question. And again, going on the fact that you folks said that you were gonna put this to the people after you destroyed the MUA, after you did everything that you did, you left it into the hands of the people and you let them vote, and they voted. Approximately 80% to 20%, you got crushed. That being said, and what the people have spoken on, what's to prevent you from putting the MUA back together again, to putting a well-oiled machine? Whether they were going to borrow money or not, they borrowed money in the past. They've not raised our rates all that much. And if I'm being honest, you guys really stunk trying to operate what they did really, really well. It's terrible. Fumble after fumble after fumble, and the people spoke. So I'm going to ask you, what's to prevent you? The buildings are still there. If I'm not mistaken, a partial of land, a building or something is being rented. What's to prevent you from putting the MUA back in order, putting the people back to work, giving the people the $46 a quarter or thereabouts? Did you create a situation? Did you can't put the MUA back? I'll ask you that simple yes or no.
Interesting question. Could they put it back together? I don't see why they couldn't, but
I don't know why they couldn't. It would be crappy to put it back together, right? And then put some guy in charge and go, hey, by the way, you don't have any kind of relief money because we took that. We spent that. So yeah, we're going to change it all back to how it was before, except for that money that we took, which was the clear indicator on why we took it.
Yeah.
Because we needed that money.
It was an election year. You could understand, right? We needed it.
Yeah, it's an election year. We never do anything in election years because people have really short memories.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion, but nah, I just put it up there.
All right, I'll push mine then too. Yep, these are my own opinion. This whole podcast is our opinions. These are opinion podcasts, right?
It's just an opinion podcast. There is nothing here that is stated to be truthful.
But a funny thing happened though, Joe, recently.
We'd be really good at predicting the future, but go ahead.
So we put these these disclaimers
recently
on here, and the people that don't watch our podcast somehow they mentioned them. You know, it was pretty comical. There's a lot of little like clips of like little things that happen that you're like, that was done because of something that we said, or like, you know what I mean, or comments that are made, or he says to Ray, you should have a little disclaimer up before you say something. I think, did you get a clip of that in here? I
think that does come up, doesn't it?
Maybe it probably does.
Oh no, yeah, that's the next clip actually.
All right, let's play it.
I want to address some of the comments you made.
Oh yeah, here you go.
Polidoro. Sure. Because a lot of it is opinion and not factual. Maybe you should provide a disclaimer before you speak. No one destroyed the MUA. You said put the people back to work. No one lost their jobs. It is still functioning. I didn't know you had this affinity for the MUA up until a year ago, because I know you used to cast aspersions upon that MUA. Didn't you? It was a patronage pit. You had issues.
No, I actually asked
you
asked me a question.
No.
You said, did
yes, didn't you?
No, I was looking at a fund that people were abusing.
So can you tell me what people lost? Who has to go back to work, Mr. Polidoro?
Well, they're working at a different.
The vendors? You want to put the vendors back to work?
No, I'm talking about
professionals back to work.
I'm talking about putting back together a well-oiled machine.
It is still operating.
But you're pissing all the money away.
Services are still being provided.
But you're pissing all the money away.
So you're okay with $6 million just sitting there as a bank? Because that's
they were doing a good job with it. They didn't raise our rates. $6 million sitting, and our rates stayed the same. Mr. Carnes has still yet to answer the question: what savings?
Nothing has been destroyed. Nothing has been crushed. No
Nothing's
one has lost their job.
Right.
Then why did you put it up for bid?
Because to save money.
But you can't answer the question.
I answered your question. You don't like
save what money?
Well, we dissolved it to save money. Economies of scale. Okay, that's why we did it. And then we put it out to bid for the public, and the public responded. And as you say, we got crushed. So we know we had the feeling that you get when you get crushed. So I answered your questions. I responded.
You know, the people that voted on this were not voting party, and yet you want to create a little political turmoil. It has nothing to do with that.
What turmoil am I creating?
You should have never dissolved the MUA. You should have left it alone. You dropped the ball. You fumbled.
You're saying money is dripping out of Mr. Carter's pocket and the mayor.
That's usually the case.
Thank you very much, Ray. Have a great holiday.
You too.
What was the situation in 2007? Because I was
speaking to the microphone, please. It's hard to hear you.
That you were with Cindy Rowell Hatton because she was your candidate, and she was having meetings with members of.
You really want to go down that road?
You know.
You really want to go down that road? Let me tell you something. It didn't have anything to do with money.
Your time is up.
You can't handle money. You can't handle money the way that the MUA did. You're not that good. You're not as good as them. You're not that good.
Please take a seat.
Check in with them again.
Please take a seat. Please take a seat.
Now, I wasn't here for the Cindy Rowell Hatton time, but I know that a lot of the people that are, I know that a lot of people that were elected after Cindy became mayor, like people, and even the people that were elected during the time that she was mayor, like the mayor won against her, running and his campaign was that it's too expensive here in Gloucester Township. We have to come in and save money. And then I know Dan Hutchinson, we've got some of his old videos talking about how unaffordable it is and how he needs to win to come and save money. Everybody was complaining about the amount of money that the Cindy Rowell Hatton administration was spending. The guy complaining about her was the guy doing the spending.
Right. I said he's the same person.
Right. The guy that is out there handing out election material. He's part of the administration. He's handing out election material for the Democrat committee people.
Yeah, on election
day.
At the polling
You're telling
places
me that maybe that there wasn't a point where he was like, I don't care what I'm spending and how it makes the mayor look bad because
sabotaging this thing.
I'm not saying that he's sabotaged her, but I'm saying, to me, if I was a conspiracy guy, I would say maybe she lost the re-election just because of the actions of the business administrator at the time. I don't know. It's a guess. So
I don't know. I'm not guessing any of that. I know that the business administrator does have a lot more power than people realize, and is the one spending a lot of that money.
Yeah.
And that's just has to do. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that a lot of people now know his name, because I would tell you before this year started, I don't think if you put a gun to people's heads, they wouldn't even know what his name was. When I started asking people in the parks, like, what's the name of the business administrator, it was there was a reason behind it, right? It was like to get people to know who it is that's spending all your money, because it's not always just the mayor. Like, there's unelected people that run behind the scenes of everything, that make things work every day, and are making decisions for elected people that it's not necessarily their. I don't know. It's a
people,
the way things
people
work.
Went
It's
from
not always
knowing who he was to them posting online.
Signs like,
where can I find one of those Fire Tom Carter signs?
Yeah.
So people went from not knowing who you are to like, we want to get this. We want to make sure this guy's not here anymore.
Yeah, I don't think he's taking it very well, though. That people are questioning this now, knowing his name because of the sewer sale thing, because he had to be the one that was on the hot seat because the mayor recused himself. It was all Tom's idea. Tom brought it to Orlando. You know what I mean? So that whole thing.
Yeah, can you imagine?
His name's on it.
Can you imagine just becoming that popular now, where you're like, God, it's gonna suck to just go out to eat. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Anyway, so Denise calls council. Let's see here. Denise calls council.
Yeah, she's basically just saying the same thing that we were just saying here.
Yeah.
Denise Coyne, Cheese Landing. I would like to quote President Mercado when he said that the sewer issue was not a red issue, and it wasn't a blue issue. It's a green issue.
Yeah.
Except tonight, I think once again, it is made a political issue. It shouldn't, because Tom Carter sat there and yelled at Ray Polidoro over politics. That was 100% political.
You didn't hear Ray yell?
Is he a public servant? Is he a public servant, or is he a member of the public?
I stated that.
Okay, are you public servants? Are you members of council and the administrative? Talk about decorum. You guys are supposed to be professionals. We're public members. You are supposed to be council and the administration. Decorum, was that decorum? I don't appreciate coming to a meeting and having to sit here and listen to council members scream at the public.
Who is screaming at the public?
Tom Cardis.
Tom Cardis is not a council member. He's
part of the administration.
No shouting out from the audience, please. I just talked about decorum.
Oh, here we go.
Are you raising your voice right now to me?
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the individuals in the back. Mr. Cardis is not an elected official. You know
He's part
that.
of the administration.
He is not an elected official.
He's part of the administration.
You're cutting me off. No council member here yelled at anyone today.
I said the administration and council.
No, you started off as council, but go ahead.
I also said the administration. He is part of the
let's split
administration.
hairs.
He is a professional. He is a public servant.
He was smiling.
There's decorum
Smirking.
on you guys' side. He's sitting there smirking at me right now. That's not decorum.
So,
And as far as the sewer borrowing money, the MUA, yes, they borrowed money. I'm sure they had to operate. They borrowed money. They also charged the public $46 a quarter. And they ran an efficient MUA.
When's the last time they borrowed $19 million?
I'm speaking, please don't interrupt me. Decorum, once again.
You're speaking of me, I can respond.
I wasn't done speaking. You interrupted me.
Mr. Cardis,
You interrupted me.
Mr. Cardis and Ms. Coyne, please speak your 5 minutes,
I'm trying.
and we'll respond at
I'm
the end
trying.
if we want to.
Please instruct him not to interrupt me so I
Exactly.
can finish. That would be awesome.
Yes, Mr. Cardis, please let us.
You know what? I'm done.
Mr.
Thank
Cardis,
you.
thank you.
Oh man.
There's a guy that should never be allowed out in public. Speak on behalf
Disgraceful, yeah.
of our Yeah, on behalf of our administration.
But her point though is completely valid, right? Like the his decorum speech that he gave about and threw Miss Smithman out there. What about the decorum from that side up there? Why are you guys not held accountable? You want to talk about decorum? And then as she's talking, he's interrupting her. Like, whose time is that? It's her time.
And she started, and this whole clip too started out about it being a partisan issue. And you'll see, I mean, I think one of the first people to make this a partisan issue was Tom Cardis when he told the Inquirer that this was just people speaking up against the Democrat council.
Yeah.
And that's where it started, and then it just kept rolling from there. And then I got another point too would be,
well, we did in our recap video of the whole timeline of the sewer thing. We brought up how that all came about, and that was it was planned from New Jersey American Water with Tom Cardis to get to the Democrat committee in town to then find their leaders or whatever. I forget what they call them, the community leaders, and then also to make it a partisan.
That should be our goal too.
What?
Not just to clean up the mayor and council and the administration, just to clean up, not just to clean them up, but also let's clean up. Why don't we clean up the Democrat committee too? Because there's good people in the Democrat committee, right? That want good things. Obviously, there are, because 22,000 people voted not to sell it, so they're not all in on the take on what's going on. So yeah, that should be a big goal too. Clean that up too.
Yeah,
they'll never let us in, but.
So who does Mr. Cardis answer to? Because he doesn't answer to the people because we can't vote him in or out.
He serves at the pleasure of the mayor. He's appointed by the mayor.
Okay. So will the mayor,
with approval of council,
review this council meeting to see of his outbursts and unprofessionalism?
I don't know if the mayor will review this meeting.
Okay. Will you tell the mayor about the unprofessionalism that took place?
There were comments made on an almost weekly basis to Mr. Cardis. And Mr. Cardis, this is my take on it, responds to what he's receiving. So if someone is saying to him that cash is dripping out of his pocket, do you think Mr. Cardis is going to wish them a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and send them a Christmas card?
No, but
no. If he's responding to what is being said to him at times. There are times that Mr. Cardis, I asked Mr. Cardis, let's stop and let's move on from it. But I think there's a lot of people in this room, including yourself, that have made statements in this body here that have not been respectful.
Okay.
None of this, any of this criticism, nobody does this for a hobby, right? Nobody goes there. There's reasons. There's reasons that people are going there every other week and challenging Tom Cardis.
You mean like our right to it? And he's spending our
it's
money.
Always your right to go to any town. Even if
even
if your town is run very efficiently, you can go there and challenge some of the things that you don't agree with, right? But everybody that's involved in us and everybody that goes to these meetings, they all got involved because there was problems. They thought there was things that they thought weren't happening. So it's like, you can't complain about it because you created it. Like, you created these problems. That's why these people are here.
Right. If they're not questioning something that you didn't do. They're questioning something you did do. Yeah. You did it. That's why it's like, you as a little kid getting in trouble and be like, I don't know why you're yelling at me. You're like, well, because you're the one that did, such and such. Yeah. Well, I wonder why he's, lashing out. Because he was the one that did it. That's why, it's like, oh my.
If they were just boring and efficient, nobody would be there. And we would all just say, look, they know what they're doing. And they'd never have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on elections because people go, I'm happy with that.
And when someone asks, how did you save us money? Have an answer.
Yes.
You said you're going to do it. So don't get annoyed by people coming up there and asking you and asking you and asking you, and then use that as the excuse as to why he's lashing out. Well, have a GD answer when somebody asks you a question.
Yeah.
And then people won't have to ask you repeatedly and repeatedly for him to get annoyed at somebody asking him repeatedly and repeatedly. You're gaslighting the people, saying it's your fault that he's lashing out. No. Hold on. It's our right to come question him, as we pay him $232,000 a year as salary, and he doesn't have an answer to us. That's why we're questioning him. That's why he's getting annoyed, because he's getting questioned. He made decisions that people are to hold people accountable in those positions.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's you people don't like, don't him, or you said mean things to him. No.
We're 1 month away from, but look, January 2022.
Ooh, you just got me irritated.
This MUA thing was January 2022.
Yeah.
Where they had the idea to do this. Between then and now, almost January 2025.
You don't have a single
You couldn't
answer.
have a chart that just says, here's what they would have spent, here's what they spend now. This is the money that we saved. A chart.
It's not his job to do that, and he's not going to do anything additional if it's not his job. It's not his. But here's the thing: if somebody came up once and you didn't have an answer, they came up again a second time. Maybe take 10 minutes aside and put something together so that the next time somebody asks,
it's at least once a month,
or come back when it's it's your time to speak at the end of the council meetings. Every one of them has an opportunity. He could go up there and say, listen, I know you guys have asked 2 or 3 times. Here's a couple of the things that we've done, but that's not what they want. They don't care about getting you an answer. It's not your right to have that in their mind, and they're not going to answer you.
Well,
nobody's not going to answer you.
Nobody wants to. Nobody wants
Who do
to
you think you
answer
are?
the fact that, look, we screwed up. Our agenda from January 2022 was to suck the money out of this thing and sell it off. We had no plans on maintaining this thing anywhere in the future. So we're never going to give you an answer.
I would respect that answer.
Yeah,
I would respect that as this is
come
this
back
is what
and say,
said.
look, we didn't plan on this. This seemed like a logical thing to do, is just to sell it and privatize it. And then there was no plan afterwards to maintain this thing. So now we've got a mess that we've got to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's just another it's another one of those things that they can borrow for now several times, over borrow, over budget.
Yeah.
It's just another thing. We gave them more control. We gave people that can't control more control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
your buddy came out of coma over here.
Mikey woke up from his baseball coma and
We get
got mad.
attacked, and it's a continuous thing. So, of course, there is some sort of animosity, but it starts with you guys. If you want to change how you are perceived, you have to do it. You have to do it, because
When
it
has
is.
anybody attacked you from up here?
Are you?
No, I'm serious. When has anybody up here attacked you?
Ooh, he's big mad. Oh,
yeah, that's an attack right there from a
What
council.
about the letter that was written about me? Through council.
Through council. Council didn't write that letter. The council said, let's write a letter about Dena Hendry? No. There were individuals. You ran in the campaign, right? You ran for election.
Yes,
Okay? And a letter came out. You didn't
by
like-
2 council members.
And you didn't like that letter.
Because it was written by 2 council members
Okay.
as council.
But this body of council, we didn't send that out.
She did.
Okay?
She did.
She asserted her First Amendment rights, didn't she?
As a councilwoman, you're supposed to be impartial.
Man.
So yeah, let's distinguish the difference here, right? They can say whatever they want about you if you're running for any particular position. But what has happened here was Dena, just in this case, you were criticized also for. Actually, you were criticized for asking questions of council. You don't ask questions for council.
I was going to say that to clarify your initial thing, they can't say whatever they want just because she's running.
Yeah, well, yeah,
they have to say truthful.
They can't say she's a murderer or anything like
Right,
that.
yeah.
But their criticisms towards her and you, for which you don't even speak up there, it didn't make any sense at all. Their criticisms were Dena's actions in council for asking about asking for transparency and asking how they budget things in there. They criticized her for that, and they not only did they criticize her for that, they wrote letters and sent them to, I think, like, teachers got these too, in their mailboxes in schools, saying kind of nasty things about the both of you. But it was written as...
This is from council. This is an official council
We
letter.
are, yes.
Yeah.
And it was their pictures on there, their official council pictures.
So it was
titles.
Stubbs and Grace. So
yeah, and
Miss
it says,
Stubbs, I don't know
as
what her first name is, I
councilwomen, Miss
forget.
Stubbs has said privately to other people.
Oh, and publicly, she said in her leaving
Yes,
council
she did.
letter, I did not write that.
So
they used my likeness.
Yes. So, but somebody associated with council did, because Carolyn Grace has never denied it.
Yeah. Mind you, the guy that got so pissed off about that, he also was the same person that had one of the best quotes out of council ever of, "Can you repeat the title of the mayor? Where where does he work again?"
That was the weakest thing. That should be in our intro, because that was the lamest playing dumb excuse. But Mikey got fired up there.
Oh yeah, he got fired. When did you ever?
Yeah,
get?
like he's like drunk guy at a bar in your face kind of attitude there.
That was interesting.
That was thanks for showing you've got a pulse there, Mike.
Yeah. And for all of us going and expressing our whatever, our right to address our government, we're all going to be punished now.
This is coming up too, because there's going to be changes, maybe even before the January.
Yeah, they reorganized in January because there was an election, even though it's still going to be Helen Albright Troxel. They go through, they vote for professional services and all these different things, and they're going to change, or if they have the ability, I guess, to change the way that the meeting works. And here we go. We got a little clip into what's coming.
So January 2nd is our reorganization for the township. At that time, during that time period, we talk about the order of business for our council meetings, and if there's any changes we want to make during that. I think in light of today's meeting, there needs to be some changes in how our meetings are run and how the agenda flows. So those changes, they may be coming sooner than later as we.
All right, so there's your heads up.
Change is coming. So what do you think? Any predictions on what's gonna?
Well, I'm pretty sure it will be something along like, you can speak to council, but we are not responding to you. So
that's all. Yeah, well,
because he brought up that other boards in town, you're not allowed to go back and forth, and I'm like, all right, that's your choice. You don't have to. You're right, but not having to and doing it are two different.
Yeah, none of those people up there have to respond.
Right. Like, there's no law that I have to be nice to my neighbor. I'm just nice to my neighbor. You know what I mean?
But and the punishment for council, if you went up there and read out this long concern that you have, and they just waved at you and said, "Go away," right? They can do that. They can do that.
And then there are elections.
And then your punishment for that towards them is to make sure they don't get reelected again.
Right.
So they can do whatever they want. So it's not a requirement that they speak to you, but I don't know. I guess it's going to be more formalized.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the only change. He said the flow of it, so I'm not sure what that means. I predict that there may be so the E-Gov portion is not something that's required. That's something that they just kind of do. If you go onto the township's website, it says that council and the mayor kind of both wanted that, so that might go away, because sometimes questions come in there that are hard questions, and they also become part of the official record of the minutes. And I don't know that they like that.
E-Gov is essential, though. I mean, E-Gov is really essential, and it's really a favor to them to get the question ahead of time so that they can answer it formally for the residents. It is. I mean, look, if they did.
Whatever it is, it's a punishment to us. It's not. They're not like, oh, we're gonna change everything about this to make this. We're gonna get you questions answered. We're going to make it. You have more time to state your case. We will dialogue back and forth with you and get you. That's not what's coming. Like, I can guarantee you that. I don't know what it is that's coming, but I can guarantee you it's not that.
Yeah, they're not gonna be like, look, we want to talk to the people more.
Let's all kumbaya here and get together.
It's not going to happen. And if you want to keep track of what's going on with these changes, and everything else. You can join some of these folks at our council meetings, or you can follow up on the recaps here on Gloucester Township Observer. It's gtobserver.com, Facebook /GT Observer, YouTube /@RestoreGLOTWP. We got an X account out there I think it's still @RestoreGT. We got a lot of places you can find information on what's going on.
Subscribe, and we'll get you updated as we can. We're not paid to do this. We just do this because we get irritated by the lack of transparency and accountability. So we're trying to hold them accountable.
Got involved to save money, and
here you are.
And here I am with a studio,
thousands of dollars,
and here we are trying to save money for somebody else, I guess. So.
All right, folks, that's all I have. And have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, have a Merry Christmas. This tree was like, this is the last minute. Throw that right there.
Dust on it.
It's got some dust on it, but it used to. It had a twin sister tree, but the lights went bad on it, so we don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
But have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you.
And a Happy New Year, maybe. I don't know if we'll see you before then.
See it. Well, we got what? When's our last meeting? You got a December 23rd meeting, is it?
I don't know. I think there is. Yeah, I think
it's like a December 23rd
that'll
meeting.
Be after Christmas, maybe. Yeah,
we might recap in between.
We'll see you guys soon. We know we won't see you before Christmas, so and Festivus also. We won't see you before Festivus. Festivus for the rest of us. All right,
folks. Talk to you soon.
What's that sound clip?